Okay, morning guys. Let me know if you can hear me. Now, I've just started to do something new, like on YouTube. So I just want to see if anyone gets a notification that we are going to go live. Maybe I haven't got it down pat just yet, but if you do, that'd be great if you can let me know that. Just checking a few notes, some pieces. All right, good to go. G'day Lee, g'day Bobby. Hope you're well, guys. Now let's riff into Drino. How are you going? Now to start with, we'll just get onto the indices. We're going to look at for intraday action. It may get a bit hectic around here if you can hear a bit of noise, but they're quiet at the moment. But working from home with the kids, so it's good to see how we go. Yesterday wasn't too bad, but we'll see how we go today. So to start with, we're just going to look at this is the Nikkei 225, the 5-minute charts. We've got you can see that looks potentially like it's going to roll over. Now I sent an email yesterday. I'll see if I can get that. Nikkei, there we go. This action, no, the longer term action. Go to the 4 hours. That to me on the 4-hourly chart looks fairly weak. It's starting to get some weakness come in. If we just draw that up, you got sort of a resistance zone around here that's been seeing some selling. The key important thing is that we broke through this little inside level here at 21,920, and you can see if that's the trend that the market's been following, and broke out of that quite a while ago. Right, now it's consolidating sideways. So the market, once it's uptrending or downtrending, it's going to break out of that trend, and it's got two ways to go: either consolidate, or it's going to take off. John, Jason, or it's going to go start to fall. In this case, if the market's been rallying and it goes in the consolidation pattern, then you're either looking for weakness, or if it's going to consolidate and build and break out from that and continue on its trend higher longer term. But they're the sort of the two options you're looking for. So there's sort of different trading actions, what we're wanting to see. Now, the fact that this inside level, you can see it's pulled back here, pushed back up into the highs, taken out that zone there, but there's no real conviction with a rally. Okay, unlike this, what we saw, this really strong rally up, there's no conviction, which means that there's sellers pressuring the market, okay, and pressuring the bulls. The fact that this potentially could be, for me, a lower high coming into play after this break through that zone, we could see some downward pressure on the Nikkei, which could be in conjunction with overall markets falling apart a bit. US was up again last night. I mean, that's need to refresh this YouTube page, active stream. Okay. Oh yeah, go Lauren. So for me, it's US has got no other way to go at the moment. The bullish mood is well entrenched. You've got job numbers are becoming a bit of a joke. They're going, unemployment data's not looking good yet. Everyone is just, this rally is based off stimulus. Now, if they pull the rug on stimulus or what the market's expecting, they haven't made a decision yet. I think they were meant to make a decision, I think, a week ago over the weekend, but they've delayed it. I think it's been delayed. And this is just me being a big conspiracy theorist. It's been delayed until the employment data out tonight. It's a big number on employment. Now, if the employment goes against expectations negatively, that's going to trigger a bit of, fear-based selling. Now, if they come out at the stimulus at the same time to try to buoy the market, that could continue that bullish sentiment going, or at least not fall off the highs, which everyone's expecting. Now, the bubble's still going in NASDAQ and your big tech stocks, which continually drag the markets up. But all in all, the US is still edging higher. Now, that's what I'm seeing on the Nikkei. I'll go over to the DAX in a second. I just want to continue on from the intraday stuff. So that's, if we get some more weakness, this level holds at 22,486 on the Nikkei. There could be this sort of the grinding lower. It's just whether this trend up can hold, or we find that, further weakness to break straight down to 22,289. It could be a bit contained coming into the US employment data. I don't think any big moves. I mean, if there's going to be a big move, I would expect it more down than up. I wouldn't expect this bullish move up coming to the US employment data when they've had, more and more jobs getting laid off, companies are laying off people. They can't get back people because of the stimulus too. People would rather stay home, do nothing, get paid for it than go to work. So that's a bit of an issue as well. Now, Hang Seng, go to the Dow. Dow is pushed up through this resistance zone at 27,215. Again, that's what we're looking at yesterday. It's sort of chopping around there, then pull back, and then edge its way back up again. This is I'm on a 30-minute chart here. So maybe we get a bit of price action back into retest that zone before grinding up through the European session into the US session. You know, the numbers are at 10:30. The US opens at 11:30, so it's an hour before the open. So whether that sort of chops around, I wouldn't expect any big movements on this market either. Coming into the US session, it's not something that's spitting out really good trades at this stage. Stuff at the 5 minute chart. Let's just go to the 5. During the day, it's more the action is happening overnight. Like this is a great little buying opportunity. When was that? 3:30 in the morning. So, you know, when you get this sort of pop through the resistance, chop around, hold higher levels, hold an inside level, and then once you get sort of that level, it starts to go. When you could have bought it here, the same reason with your stop below, buy the break, stop below, held in, and then took off. So that's the kind of opportunity you're looking for. This is a great opportunity. When did that happen? Just 8 o'clock at night. Shame we're watching that. You got this double top play out. That's sort of the weakness during the day. Come back up, retested the highs. I think that's the open to Europe. Yeah, open to Europe. Europe fell apart, grind down. Now, you've got to take notice of this kind of action when you sort of get that expansion down off a double top, for instance. We call that a retest fail. It's important to notice you get that retest fail with a wash and it doesn't finish above. You know, once you get that, then you get that expansion down. It's showing that the bears are taking control. And when you get that sort of a grind, you're looking for that secondary, you know, this is your shoulder trade. This is your secondary move lower that we're looking for. We're anticipating that secondary move lower. And potentially, if you could have got a short off here with a risk above, paid out beautifully. And it happened again later on. Excuse me, you could have got a short off down there with a push, just that expansion lower. But that the strength in that move down is a real key indicator of offer. You know, we call it a retest fail, double top. It's a key indicator where there's some bearish sentiment coming through. And if especially couple that with that grind back up, there's no real strength in buyers, or the bulls are really, sorry, the bears are smacking into the buyers or hitting the bids and keeping that buying pressure down. Then once the bulls go, look, it's not going in my favor, I'm bailing. You got more bearish action coming in. You got the bulls that had to, or the buyers had to now turn around and lock in some losses, or maybe a small gain, but sell back into the market and then get that expansion lower. So great little yeah, don't fight the trend. So that's what we're ultimately looking for most of the time. Now, Hang Seng, I expect some action in the Hang Seng. The way it backed off this high at 25,210, you can see that, and it's important to notice we're on the 30-minute chart. That movement up, okay, pushed down, and this has trended up. It's failed off that level, and it's broken some key, we call that the anchor to the uptrend. So every trend's got an anchor. You got your high lows or your lower highs anchoring the trend up. Once it starts to break that anchor, which is this inside level here, which it did, it went smash straight through, then that becomes a key level, and you're looking for that secondary move down, which could be today. We might get, this is the kind of action I'd like to see, and see if we can get trades off on the short side. We may flush that level at 25,505, not a key level, but it is where it's reacted off that zone before. We might flush it and finish below, and then looking for your shoulder again. All right, so that's something to keep an eye on. I mean, if we just grind higher, I'll probably get caught off because I'll be looking for a short. Nothing will happen, and we get caught staying on the sidelines if it just does this sort of grinding action back up again. But the Hang Seng doesn't technically grind very much. It just goes. It will run like yesterday. Just boom straight down. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now the SPY is going to be open in 1 minute. It'll be interesting to see how that opens. We might flush this high. Flush. We're just going to wait and see what level it reacts on or reacts to. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. Now I just want to go over to the DAX, something I want to talk about today. Not much. Everything that we look at, say crude oil, was sort of well contained. It getting sold and bought up. Lower inventories should be bullish, as in weaker supply, demand still there, all that sort of stuff. But it didn't. So that's why it's sort of getting supported. We'll go over to that rather than just talk about it. Oil. That's my 4-hourly chart. So I'm looking at the 30-minute chart. It's sort of supporting. This is a key level I want to see if that can hold. It's around 41.45. Yep, 41.45. But at the moment, it's that US dollar. US dollar, if it starts to sink again, which is sort of in that 72.50 zone, the dollar index, 92.50, 75. What am I talking about? 92.75. That zone there, if it holds that, then it might bounce, put pressure on crude and everything linked to the US dollar. But if it sinks through that zone, it could be a good sell-off on the cards. And that probably will work into what's going to happen tonight with payrolls and employment data and how that goes. Now, if employment data goes a lot weaker, we might get some safe haven bouncing into the US dollar, meaning crude might get sold off and you might get the indices sold off. Who knows what's going to happen, but it may change the sentiment, or it might be the trigger that, was it the straw that breaks the camel's back, the bull's back in this case. We'll see with crude, but it's still getting held down. There's no real reason. There was nothing really last night, movement in the US dollar, anything that's going to trigger some really bullish action to that. Let's just look at copper. Copper a bit the same. It's been capped on the downside and capped on the upside. It's sort of stuck in that range. Longer term, we've got this trend up. It's consolidating. Whether it's going to break to the downside or break to the upside, it's an each way bet just at this stage. So if you're jumping in long, I think that's pretty ballsy. And if you're jumping in short, you're probably pretty ballsy. I mean, weighted numbers to me suggest we're going to see some downside because the market's pausing here because the US is at all, we're back at those highs. So we're back at where the levels were, especially up in the S&P, not far off in the Dow, not far off where they were before the sell-off. Yet employment data is a massive problem. You've got so many more problems since that time. It's just the stimulus now. Sooner or later they're going to have to pull the pin on the stimulus, but whether they ease off on it first and they sort of drip feed some more stimulus into the market. But if, again, like I said, if it's not what the market's expecting, I don't think it's going to be better than expected, but if it's not what the market's expecting, the same sort of thing to continue, then there might be some reason to pause, and that would lead to some downside on copper. Now, what I want to go over, let's go over here, is just a couple of things. We looked at the dollar. The dollar's, this is the zone here that we've been looking at. That's sort of that rising support, but it's longer term. It's off for daily and a weekly. Some key support. Now, if we start to plow through this zone, that's going to cause some issues. And we don't want to just see, not just something like this and then bounce back. That's just going to sucker in some sellers and then squeeze them back out. You want a decent move down, through that zone, a decent move down. And then if you get this kind of action and we're still not back into there, then that's going to lead off, I think, to some really, really big selling pressure on the dollar, which again keeps the ball rolling on gold. Gold's going it's just going like a bat out of hell on the upside, just charging higher, stretched to. It is really stretch gold, but when you're so well established and gold's got a massive following, don't forget, massive sentiment following for everyone loves gold. You're a bull on gold, you don't really trade it. That's pretty much it. No one's bearish on gold. Everyone loves it. So when you've got to run on into something like that, then it's hard to turn. And I don't think anything just at this stage is willing to turn it. Well, no one's going to get out when you keep adding $20 a night. So that's gold. One thing I'll look at is the DAX and then the yen, US yen. I want to look at that DAX. Look at the. So we've probably spoken about this for a while. The DAX had a big uptrend. We'll go to the index. It's probably going to be something same. Let's go to a. Oh no, that's good enough. So we've got the trend up. Sort of looking at this trend intact. All right, so that's the trend up. Now we're starting to break that trend. It's whether this becomes your shoulder that we've talked about. Okay, whether this here, and it's starting to show signs of cracking if we drill in on that. So it's breaking the downtrend. So again, it's breaking the uptrend. So what are you looking for when it breaks the uptrend? You're looking for either consolidation and pause, and what that'll do is sucker in a few bears and then turn around and squeeze them out, or you're going to start to get weakness creeping, and it's going to be fairly obvious. Now you've got these two zones, which to me is getting a bit more obvious that sort of minor bullish action got capped. You got flushed out of that zone at around 12,782. It's getting held up here at the moment, but that's a lower high in respect to this major move. And then you've got this potential lower high coming in with respect to this move down as well. So, there's a few things that don't look so great for the DAX. So I'll be getting bearish on that one. And that's probably plays in well to the Nikkei. It's just the US doesn't look... They did that. If anyone remembers the GFC, there was some key levels on the upside, which the US was the only one to break. Everyone else backed off, Europe and all that. And it was sort of the first sign where, okay, why aren't they following? Why aren't they following the US coming to the GFC just before the sell-off in 07, September, October, something like that in 07? And then it started to play out later on. The US sort of went up, broke out into new highs, and then basically caved in after that. Maybe it's a similar type of thing. The US can only go two directions, up or down. It can't go sideways. I think they're either too bullish or too bearish, whereas other markets seem to pause a lot more and consolidate a bit. So we'll see if that plays out in the DAX. The other thing I want to look at, I'm sort of got my eye on, is US yen. US yen, that'll be linked to, and you can see how it's sort of pausing here. You know, we've got this zone around here where it's starting to consolidate. So it's had this downtrend on the US dollar weakness, big bounce. When we got that bounce in the US dollar, to me, US yen reacted a lot harder. Okay, reacted on the upside, big squeeze of these shorts that have built up. We change that, big squeeze, and now that pullback, you can see it's that contained. So the action, you know, straight up, it's near vertical, and then it's been contained on the way down, that sort of choppy down, which suggests to me we could get another squeeze up again, or at least up to these highs at 106.45 from 105.50, 60 zone. All right, so that's what I'm looking for that on the yen. If we start to break out like that, then the first pullback to see if we can get an entry long. All right, just see if we can get that squeeze. But you want to break out these, you know, take out these highs around 105. We're just drilling that 105.70 or thereabouts first. And you know, the chance is that you break out and it just keeps going without you. But you know, that's the nature of the beast. I like to drop it down. So on the 30-minute, you might drop it down to see something. There's going to be something on maybe a 15, a 10, a 5-minute chart to go off, or you might find it's this action off the hourly. You know, same sort of action, that hourly or 2 hourly, you know, similar action, similar levels. It might be off the half an hour. We might break straight up on the hourly or the 2 hourly, but we might find that little minor pullback we can work off for a long on the hourly chart, or sorry, the 30-minute chart, or maybe 10 or 15, but we'll see. All right, guys, that's probably about all I want to talk about. Let's just see what happened on the SPY, and then we'll finish it up. SPY smashed, so that's not looking so good. If this level can't hold, 59.68, look, the problem is, I think on the SPY, it's getting a bit bearish, and the way the US rallied, but we did nothing. We sort of held below the close, the day's close at 4:30. So that's one thing you just got to take note of. It didn't do too much, which means that, you know, not ramping it higher at night, which means that potentially there could be some selling action coming in today just to close out the week. Don't know, just guessing. But if this level can't hold and we start to creep back and we start to get heavy at a lower level below, well, let's just take, say 59.85 or 59.95, we start to get heavy around here, that could lead to a break of that zone at 59.68. We'll just keep an eye on that. Anyway, guys, that's about it. That's all I wanted to say. Any questions, feel free to send us an email to support@tradesetup.com.au. If you do like what you hear or what you see, or if you just like me in general, that'd be great if you can leave us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, we've got everything on our website, and we're going to be adding bits and pieces there. Hopefully I can do that today. We'll see how we go. Anyway, guys, enjoy your weekend. Have a great day, and just keep an eye on the action tonight. Remember, don't expect too much today because we have got US tonight, and I think there'll be a bit of concern about the payroll numbers, the employment data after the last couple of days. So we'll see how that plays out and see what it brings us on Monday. Anyway, guys, have a great weekend. I'll speak to you soon.